All right, soccer fans, welcome to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, here at Uihlein Soccer Park. This is one of the semifinals for the Women's Amateur Cup National Championship. Capital Pride taking on Green Bay Glory. Glory, the only Wisconsin team we will see over these next 2 days. So they feel, even though they're officially listed as the away team, they will feel that they are more of the home team here. As Green Bay Glory, obviously out of the city of Green Bay, representing Region 2 of USASA, whereas Capital Pride representing Region 3 of the USASA, Capital Pride coming out of North Carolina. Pride playing in the Platinum Division of the Carolina Cup. They beat Queen City FC in that championship match 1-0. Goal scored in the 23rd minute. Now, as is apt with these amateur games, we play a number of different roles here. So along with being your play-by-play man, I'm also in charge of running the scoreboard today. So if you hear some pauses here and there, you'll know why. Game does kick off at 5:30, and the center referees for all the 7 games that will be played this weekend have been instructed to not start before, not start after either if they can control it. Of course, that all depends on any games that might go into extra time. So we will wait here just a few more seconds before it is officially 5:30. In the meantime, talked about Capital Pride winning their state cup to get into the Region 3 playoffs. Meanwhile, Green Bay Glory, through the Region 2 playoffs, in the final they met one of their league rivals, FC Milwaukee Torrent. They ended up winning that game 3-2. Which brought them to today. And there is our whistle. Green Bay Glory in all black. My apologies, Green Bay Glory in all white with the green numbers. Capital Pride all black with the white numbers. So the Pride will be going from right to left on your screen. Glory from left to right. In that win over FC Milwaukee Torrent, Glory were actually down 1-0 at half, and they did have to come back to win that one 3-2. Torrent only had one rostered keeper in that game, and that keeper did go down in the 15th minute, but nevertheless, game still has to be played. And although FC Milwaukee Torrent got the better of the Glory in both their WPSL matchups, in that Region 2 final, it was the Glory who came out on top. We'll see what they can do here today. Capital Pride with a much longer travel schedule than Green Bay. But we'll see if that ends up mattering. And here in the early goings, Glory able to keep that ball in. This should be a good game, however. Earlier today in the men's over 40 Tournament of Regions semifinals, Atletico Torino topped Christos FC 2-1. That game having ended around 5 o'clock on the Pat Jones field. The other game, Sporting TRFC won their game 4-1 against Balkan Powder Keg. So at 3 p.m. tomorrow at the Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium, which is the stadium you are looking at in your camera right now, we'll see Atletico Torino out of Illinois take on Sporting TRFC out of North Carolina at 3 p.m. for that Tournament of Region final. And we'll see who plays at 5:30 tomorrow for the Women's National Amateur Cup. Also here at the Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium. Officially at Uihlein Soccer Park again in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Bit of a hot day. Clouds came over for a little while to cool things off, but for the most part they have left. And the temperature, although officially it's gone down, feels like it's raised probably about 2 or 3 degrees because of those clouds leaving. First call of the game goes in favor of Capital Pride. I do ask for some patience. We just got these rosters with numbers just a few minutes before kickoff. So taking the time to get to know some of these players. Well, to be frank, there isn't much time. This ball sent in, and Glory handles that one well, but Pride crashing the box, looking for their first opportunity. In the end, Glory looked to turn things around. Ball punted to the middle circle. Pride looking to take advantage. This is Knapp in the corner for the Pride. Ball in the box. Green Bay sends it out. Trying to quickly transition, some nice footwork. That was McCarthy who plays this into the box. And now the ball sent forward. Well, Bradford was on the ball, or at least trying to get on the end of that ball for the Glory. As McCarthy had a nice move at midfield. And while it didn't result in a shot or a shot on goal, certainly will help the Glory's confidence. McCarthy on the ball again for Green Bay. Plays this one in the middle of the park. Rendy plays this ball in the middle. I expect some of this play to be a little bit slow, as we're seeing here for the first few minutes of the match. That's not to say that we haven't seen some quick plays, but when we're looking at players fighting for the ball or trying to make that final step towards the ball, it is hotter here than was expected, and certainly more humid. I think we're seeing some of that affect these players early on. May just be a matter of having to adapt here in the first few minutes. Referee crew, by the way, or center referee, Isad Omanovic. His assistant refs. On the far side of our camera, Stephen Bagan. On the near side, Dylan Seitz. And our fourth official, Aaron Penacek. As Capital Pride trying to find their way into the Glory box. Ball sent in. No trouble there at all. This time the Glory will look to work it out of the back, as they quickly do, moving up to midfield. Ball on the far side now. Foul called in favor of Green Bay. On the ball was Bradford, showing some of her speed. Ball sent in. This will go into the Pride box. Header flicked on. Nobody there to eat the end of it. Zero-zero ball game thus far, 9th minute of play. Both teams finding their way into each other's boxes. Glory with their first really good opportunity on goal. That'll go just over, out for a goal kick. And Capital Pride playing this one like Green Bay before them, trying to work out the back. But now a back pass to the goalkeeper. Sends this just to the top of the box. Just above the top of the box, to be fair. Now a bit of a one-on-one between two players. And Bronson for the Pride able to get the better of that one, but only momentarily as Green Bay regains possession. Patrick Burders, your head coach of the Glory. It was a club founded by Kerry Giocaris, who's actually out on the pitch at the moment. After playing a year with FC Milwaukee Torrent, Giocaris turning, looking for a shot. Instead, it goes to the top of the box. And while Giocaris wasn't able to get off a shot, Riley Winrich was able to, although it goes out for a goal kick. But back to Giocaris, she played a season with Milwaukee Torrent, as the club was known at the time. And after that year, decided she wanted to start up her own WPSL team up in Green Bay. Hence the birth of Green Bay Glory. And they now have a men's team as well. Giocaris, 40 years old at the time that she played that first year with the Torrent. Thinking she would have never been able to play competitive soccer again due to several injuries. And Green Bay with an early substitution here. That was Lacey Kwidzinski going off the pitch. Making way for number 19, Jordan Shaden. A couple of players also coming on for Capital Pride. Again, Capital Pride out of North Carolina, so they had quite the travel to Milwaukee. And obviously, whoever wins this game will play tomorrow at 5:30 in the National Amateur Cup Championship game. They'll take on the winners of Pan World versus Rochester Lasers. That game happening concurrently on the field behind the press box. If we can get updates on the score, we will certainly let you know. And if we can't, obviously we won't. But it is an honor to be with you here today. My name is Simon Provan. Being able to call all 7 games that are being played this weekend is about as high of an honor as it gets. Some miscommunication now in the Pride defense with their goalkeeper. Glory trying to turn this ball while it was bouncing around in the box. Not going to happen, but it does go out for a Glory throw-in. And the aforementioned Giocaris taking a break. And it looks like coming on for Giocaris will be Sandra Rendy. Rendy, one of the more experienced players out there for the Glory, age 35. As the game started out in the first few minutes looking like the Capital Pride may have their way with the Glory. The Glory now has had possession of the ball, I would say a majority of it for the last 3 or 4 minutes. And a foul called in favor of Pride. Still back in their defensive third, however. Was talking to who was listed as the head coach, Sam Cohen of Capital Pride, before the game, and he had said, "Don't mistake it. I'm not a coach. I really am more of just a manager. I'm making sure our players are getting in the game when they're supposed to get in, and they do all the other stuff, the tactical stuff, figuring things out." Handball against the Glory on that call there. But it was a quick, fun conversation to have with Cohen. So he would say, "No, I am not the head coach. I'm just more of a team manager." So not manager in the sense of what you might see in the Premier League, but more of the team manager that you might have at the end of the bench, who's just getting water, taking down notes. That's about it. Ball sent in. So I talked about how Capital Pride plays or had won the Platinum Division in the Carolina Cup as they beat Queen City FC. By the way, the game is on YouTube, and the goal that was scored in that game, 23rd minute, about 22 yards out off of a restart. The player who scored that goal, it was perfectly placed, just a rocket of a shot into the upper 90. No goalkeeper in the world is ever going to touch that. And that goal held up through the rest of the game. So they certainly have the talent out there, Pride does. And although the Glory finished 4th in their 6-team division in the WPSL, they showed up on the night of that Region 2 final, took care of business, and they've shown early on here they also have the talent. So if you tuned in hoping for a good one, my estimate is you chose correctly. Miracle plays this ball back. Capital Pride with some quick pressure on that Glory defense. Turns out good for them, if only momentarily. Leadingham plays this ball up. Ball in the box now, but Glory does well. That was Maya Alberts who got the Glory out of trouble there in the back. Glory now trying to push forward. Ball played up. Referee calling a handball. Against Mallory Herber. Herber might argue that her arm was in a natural position, and she may have a good argument for that. At the same time, it did hit her arm, changed direction of the ball. And any time that a player may gain advantage after it hits their hand, you're likely to see a referee blow their whistle to stop play. Leadingham looking to play this forward. She does. McCarthy now playing this right back to Leadingham. Perhaps a bit too far for her. Nice step. Good read of the ball by Herber. Herber not able to get off that final pass, however. Possession going back and forth between these two teams. Glory tries to move forward. Pride is able to answer the question. And now Pride trying to get forward. Player comes flying in, trips her own self, basically. Glory in possession on the far side of the field. Capital Pride set up in a 4-4-2 at the moment. Glory showing a little bit of patience here in the midfield. They've tried to hurry up before, and it's only caused them to lose the ball. Changing things up, not a bad idea. Ball played forward. In the box it goes, but there's a Pride defender there. Goes out, however, only as far as Leadingham. Ball sent in by McCarthy. Pride trying to work it out of the back, but once again, well read by Herber, doing an excellent job reading where these passes are going to go. Herber, one of the younger players out there today, 19 years old. Corner sent in. Keeper grabs it out of the air, no trouble for her, and now Capital Pride looked as if perhaps they wanted to go quickly, but instead only one player going out. Pride slow to get out of their box. Still end up with possession, but instead of holding on to it and looking for a pass, working the ball around, ball just sent forward. So Green Bay once again, as we are nearly through half of the first half. Very active McCarthy, nice give and go. Unfortunately, McCarthy in an offside position, however. That was a nice give and go attempt with Kwidzinski. Number of substitutions happening for FC Pride. While I won't get to all of them, I can tell you that Camille Battle leaves the field. And I don't have a 21 on my roster, but I also don't see a number next to Erin Doirin. So I'm going to assume that she is number 21 today for Capital Pride. I apologize if I'm wrong, but we just go with the flow here at the USASA Amateur Cup National Semifinals. Coming up at 8 o'clock is the Men's Amateur Cup semifinal. Well, now we have both sets of fans disagreeing with the referee. As a ref, you know that means you're probably doing a good job out there. Throw in for Capital Pride. This will be Nudstrup with the throw. Sends it to her right back. A lot of whistles here in this first half. But I will say there are some players flying around a bit careless out on the pitch. Again, my guess is the heat and humidity have a lot to do with that. Although you would expect a team from North Carolina to perhaps be more adept to this type of heat. But again, they have also had the long travel, which may be an equalizing factor for Green Bay Glory playing in a more cool, temperate area of the country. And now having to play in this heat and on artificial surface as well, which just makes the heat go up when you are out there. In the corner, Capital Pride meets a wall of Glory defenders. And a foul is called in the corner in favor of Green Bay. Breeze picking up just a bit out there. Moving towards our camera. We'll see if that picks up, and if it does, how that might affect the rest of this game. As it is, the score remains 0-0. And speaking of this heat, always good to cool yourself down. But make sure that when you don't compromise on the pitch, you don't compromise off it either. Grab a Michelob Ultra, the superior light beer, as you cheer on your favorite team. Michelob Ultra, official beer sponsor of U.S. Soccer and the Amateur Cup. I've got a couple of college students working with me today. I know they have never, ever in their life have tasted a Michelob Ultra. But I could certainly go for one. Game in a bit of a lull here the last few minutes. Nicely played ball. Green Bay does have an opportunity here. Maybe hold on to that ball for a couple of more touches before trying to send your striker free. Not only does Capital Pride get possession of the ball, they also get a throw-in. And it looks like we'll have another substitution. This one for the Glory. Leadingham getting another break, as I believe Emily McCarthy returns to the field. So we're seeing those two switch off quite a bit. And don't let that confuse you for the Women's Amateur Cup. Substitutions and re-entries are unlimited. Quick throw-in from Pride. Ball near the end line. Glory does well to step up. Now a strong but legal tackle from number 7, Michaela Arteta. Another substitution for the Glory. Coming off was number 19, Jordan Schladen. And handball called against Capital Pride, much to the chagrin of number 11, Amanda Sales. She felt that she was taken down, and that's why her hand went up in the air to meet the ball. Nevertheless, free kick for Green Bay. Miracle. Looking for a miracle, sends this ball up. Flag stays down, ball sent in the middle. One-on-one with the goalkeeper. McCarthy with a quick hand up and a quick thumbs up from the Pride goalkeeper. Nice ball played by Pride. Shot! Well saved, ball still alive in the box. Arteta with the opportunity. But really well played as well by the Glory goalkeeper. Third of the way just about through this match. Score remains 0-0. Isabella Jones, your goalkeeper for Green Bay. Really doing well on that save, following that shot all the way in. Again, Green Bay trying to find ways to spring their strikers. Had a small collision between two players in the midfield. But now Green Bay trying to grab some momentum from this game. And just as they do that, Capital Pride regained possession. Seen this long ball a few times now from Capital Pride to this near side. It has certainly given them opportunities at the Glory goal. But not that time. Seen both teams trying to get that ball over the back line of their respective foe. But those defensive lines are just too strong. As Gio Karras once again makes way for one of her teammates. Throw in for the Pride. Foul called against Capital Pride, just holding on to the arm of the Glory defender right in front of the referee. Easy whistle for him to make. And once again, Glory will start from the back. No pressure. Ball played to midfield. As good of a game as McCarthy has had, that was a bit of a missed touch. Once again, Capital Pride defense just so strong, reading every long ball, making sure they're getting inside of the attacker. They had some opportunities early in the game. They had one a few minutes ago, the Pride did. Certainly like to see some more opportunities for both of these teams. And that will be offside. Now, Green Bay fans will argue that, wait a second, that came off of a player in black. However, if you read the law closely, even though that player tried to set themselves up, if it's determined that they don't have time to get themselves in a position and it's more of a reflexive move towards the ball rather than a truly intentional move at the ball, that does not negate the offside infraction. Nevertheless, Green Bay is still challenging for this ball. Pride looking for their own counterattack. In the corner they go. Ball sent in. Opportunity here for the Pride. Ball at the top of the middle of the box. Green Bay reads it well. And now a few more reinforcements from Green Bay make their way back. And just as they do that, reinforcements from Capital Pride also making their way forward. Glory doing well, reading every play. And we do have a stoppage. Not sure if it was for a foul or if it was for the player that was down. And it does look like referee was blowing his whistle just to make sure that the injured player was okay. And since Green Bay had possession of the ball when he blew that whistle, it'll go back to Green Bay. Couple of substitutions for each team. Not the easiest to see numbers from up here, and especially for the Pride with only having numbers on the back of their jerseys. So while I may not be able to call a lot of these substitutions name for name, and especially with the unlimited substitutions, I promise you that I am paying attention to that far side. As we enter the 37th minute of play in this Women's National Amateur Cup semifinal. Capital Pride officially listed as your home team, Green Bay Glory as the visitors. Whoever wins this game will go on to play the winner of the Rochester Lasers versus Pan World match that's playing in the field behind us. And we'll see if we can get an update at halftime on what that score might be. 0-0 here, but Capital Pride looking for a chance on goal. And this will be a couple of substitutions for Capital Pride. Well, while Green Bay Glory play in the the Women's Premier Soccer League, the WPSL, in which they finished fourth, didn't make the playoffs this year. On the other side of the field, Capital Pride, they play in the TASL, Triangle Adult Soccer League, which they say is the largest adult soccer league in all of North Carolina. And they sit currently in second place with a record of 5 wins, 0 draws, and 1 loss. Their only loss in league play for the Pride is to the team that is undefeated, that is in first place, the Pioneers. And I'll tell you, with what you see with goal differential, you'd certainly expect some goals from Capital Pride. 33 goals for in league play, only 8 against. So even though they're in second place, they actually have the best goal differential in their league. And ball sent forward. McCarthy, can she get to the end of it? Instead, while the flag did go up, it looks like the ball may have been out of bounds already. In fact, okay, now it's understood. Referee was calling a foul against FC Pride back on the other half, back in Green Bay's half. And that is where we will restart play. First, a couple of substitutions for each side. Looking across the field, Aaron Penacek, your fourth referee, having a conversation with Sam Cohen, as he would say, team manager of Capital Pride. Friendly conversation between the two. It looked like Sam was just asking about what the whistle may have been for. As a referee myself, it always is a good thing to see coaches respectfully asking questions and even respectfully disagreeing at times. Certainly, nobody's perfect, no ref is perfect, no player is perfect, no coach is perfect. So seeing these conversations of basically understanding is always a positive thing to see out there. And speaking of positive things to see, a player was down on the pitch for just a bit, but back up on her feet. I believe that was Haley Leadingham of Green Bay that was down momentarily, but popped right back up on her feet. No worse for the wear. Not sure how much stoppage time we'll have, but we are just under 4 minutes left of regular time in this first half. We are at Uihlein Soccer Park in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 7 games scheduled between today and tomorrow. You have the displeasure of having me on all of those games. But certainly, as I had mentioned before, an honor for me. Had the first game already today at 3 o'clock. This is our second game on the docket. 1 more to go after this for tonight. And then 4 games tomorrow. All tomorrow's games are finals. We'll have the men's over 40 final of the Tournament of Region. That'll be Atletico Torino taking on Sporting TRFC at 3 p.m. And before that, the men's over 30 championship of the Tournament of Regions. That's Cheshire SC out of Region 1 taking on 1990 Queens FC. Again, that game at 12:30. Their opponents for these semifinals could not commit to this tournament. So both teams, Cheshire and 1990 Queens FC, automatically in the final for men's over 30. And then, of course, at 5:30 p.m. tomorrow, we'll have the Women's Amateur National Championship. And we close out the entire weekend at 8 p.m. tomorrow night with the Men's National Amateur Cup. Officially in the 44th minute of play now. Game has gotten to be a bit lackluster here, to be honest with you. 0-0 ball game. Been a few chances for both teams, nothing incredibly threatening other than about 10 minutes ago where the Pride, and just as I say that, Glory making their way in the box. Can McCarthy get a touch on it? No, she can, as Capital Pride defensively does very well. Getting on the end of that ball against McCarthy was Anna Boda. And speaking of Boda, gets another touch here. Sends it, though, straight to the top of the box. Green Bay just trying to find a way to get that ball in front of the Pride goal, but really struggling to get any sense of a cross into the box. Capital Pride trying to turn the temperature up here in the last couple of minutes. And actually only 20 seconds before we hit 45 on the clock, and then from there we go into stoppage time. Ball played in. And again, just not much happening here as we are officially 30 seconds into stoppage. Sometimes as a team, you just try to get through the half and get into the locker room. That may be the case here where both teams could probably use a bit of a cool off. Although you also got to be careful with that. You don't allow your muscles to get too cold. And a lot of teams even elect to stay out on the pitch with the heat, making sure that their muscles don't tense up at all. Foul called for Capital Pride. Referee checking on the player. Everything seems to be okay. Taken down was L.B. Hall. Great communication from both teams' defenses today. Now that is part of it. We got to give credit to the defensive lines, as any time that ball has entered the box, except for maybe one time on each side, they have made sure to not let that ball in the back of the net and not even allow much in the way of shots. Again, we are not given the amount of stoppage time, so we are completely at the mercy of Isad Omanovic, today's center referee. This ball sent in, one-on-one with the keeper, almost a one-on-one. Ball takes a bounce, and that'll do it for us in the first half. At the end of 45, we are scoreless here at Uihlein Soccer Park. Welcome back to Uihlein Soccer Park as we are here all weekend long for the number of different tournaments, including the National Amateur Cups for both the men and the women. This being one of two semifinals being played concurrently, the other on the Pat Jones field. And there is our second half kickoff. Green Bay Glory in white with green numbers. Capital Pride in black with white numbers. First half ended 0-0, got a bit lackluster in the middle to the end of that first half. We'll see after this break if perhaps things pick up a little bit. Either way, a pleasure to have you with us. My name is Simon Provan on behalf of everybody at USASA. We thank you for joining us on these YouTube streams. With all these back-to-back games, can take quite a bit of time to get rosters on a lot of these teams that have traveled far. Just figuring out numbers today, so unfortunately it doesn't give us much time up in the press box to get familiar with a lot of the names that are attached to those numbers, but we are doing our best today. And again, either way, most important thing is these games being brought to you over YouTube so that you can cheer your team on from afar if you can't be here in Milwaukee. Ball sent to midfield. Really, other than one really good chance for Pride in that first half, that was about all we saw for actual chances on goal. There were other shots, but really not much to test either goalkeeper, other than a few times keepers having to come off their lines and maybe take the ball out of the air. We'll see if somebody can break this deadlock in this second half. Otherwise, we will go into extra time for the Women's National Amateur Cup. Substitutions are unlimited. Players can re-enter. And we saw a flurry of substitutions in that first half. And with the type of heat and humidity that the teams are dealing with today, it's a good thing that they have those unlimited substitutions. Well, one of the stars of the first half for Green Bay is Emily McCarthy, number 4, who had the ball at her feet on the far side. But just as we saw the Pride do in the first half, defensively staying strong. While they seemingly allow the Glory to get near their box, Glory have not made many trips into said box. And just as I say that, chance here, but once again, defender for FC Pride able to meet that with her foot. Referee blowing for a foul. I know some fans get frustrated what they say is sometimes it takes these refs so long to blow their whistle. But about a couple of years ago, FIFA US Soccer really wanted to see referees allow play to happen to see if true advantage would be given. So referees are given that rope to allow play to occur after a foul. And an opportunity here after some bad play defensively by the Glory, but they do clean things up. But going back to the referee, that is something you just have to get used to. And I absolutely love it because you'd rather see play continue instead of seeing a referee quickly blow their whistle and then realizing that there may have been a goal-scoring opportunity. or at least a play that could lead to that goal-scoring opportunity. So no, refs aren't sitting there trying to figure out if it was a foul or not. They see the foul, and then they simply want to see if advantage can be had, and are then allowed after a few seconds to go ahead and bring it back, should they deem that advantage wasn't had. This time foul called in favor of Green Bay. Glory founded just a few years ago. Spent their first season, maybe first 2 seasons in the WPSL. Spent a season then in the USLW before returning back to the WPSL. And that is their league of choice. Finishing 4th in their division. I believe it was the Great Lakes division. Biggest win of the year was a 10-0 win over a new club, Milwaukee City. And their worst defeat, well, it was matched goal differential-wise. Losing 3-0 and 4-1 to FC Milwaukee Torrent on 2 different occasions. But you could almost say that Green Bay got the ultimate word as they beat FC Milwaukee Torrent 3-2 in the Region 2 final. Bringing them to this semifinal matchup here in Milwaukee. Great celebration of amateur soccer this weekend. Everything from these, what you could call open teams. Anybody of any age that's at least of 18 able to play on the Amateur Cup teams. But then, of course, you've got your men's over 40 being played, men's over 30 being played. Bringing it to 7 games in total this weekend. And number 12 of Capital Pride, her second whistle in a matter of minutes. That's Camille Battle getting a talking to. Our center referee pointing out across the field that that's 3 fouls and that is no more, or you'll be seeing yellow. It's actually more than 7 games. I was thinking about my own personal schedule. That's the amount of games I will be calling over this weekend. And trying to do some quick math. I believe it's actually a total of 10 games that are being played between the Southeast Sports or Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium, which is the one you are looking at as we have a player down, referee quickly calling for the trainer. And then behind us is the Pat Jones Field. That's Lucy Kwidzinski that is down for Green Bay. Trainer is out on the field, as well as one of the assistant coaches for Green Bay. Kwidzinski up on her feet, walking back to midfield. We'll see if she re-enters or if perhaps she'll be subbed out and evaluated, just making sure that she's okay. And in fact, that is what's going to happen. Kwidzinski taking a break after taking a knock. And coming on the pitch for her is Jordan Shaden. And as the ball was at the feet of a Pride player, ball will be dropped for the Pride to retake possession. Ball sent to midfield where Green Bay gathers it. Well, in the first 10 minutes of the second half, Glory having the better of the play. Ball in the box now. Gio Karras trying to get a touch on it. As she does, though, it goes into the hands of the Pride goalkeeper. Throw in for Pride, but first we'll have a couple of substitutes. And again, tough to see these numbers as these players come on the pitch. But I do believe Camille Patterson came on the field for Pride. And I thought I saw a number 14, which I do not have listed on my roster. Few numbers missing from this roster today. So unfortunately, I won't be able to identify those players without names attached to numbers. In the first half, we did see the Pride really pushing in their final attacking third, even when Green Bay had the ball. Not seeing much of that this second half. That could be a tactical adjustment. Simply could be players getting tired. But Pride being a little bit more purposefully compact in the back, and this may be why. Maybe now they look to spring a counterattack. Ball played forward. And while Bronson tried to move forward for the Pride, Green Bay defense meets them all the way, specifically in the name of Alyssa Miracle. And again, another standout play by Winrich. Fitting name, as she did much to win that ball back for the Glory, but now the Pride on the hunt once again. Jones calling for the ball, wanting to reset after seeing that Green Bay had nowhere to go, forward-wise anyway. And ball played. Flag stays down. Flag still stays down. McCarthy, very speedy player. Saw some nice foot skills from that winger in the first half as well. Tries to come in. McCarthy does to double team. But instead, foul called against Leadingham. Players will appreciate the long time that substitution just took. 60 minutes down, 30 to go, as we are 2/3 of the way through this semifinal matchup in the Women's National Amateur Cup. Green Bay Glory, 0. Capital Pride, 0. And as the sun continues to beat down, especially into the press box, temperature is dropping out there a bit. Temperature on the pitch pretty even between these teams. Haven't seen any type of altercations between the two. Could this be an opportunity for Capital Pride? Again, coming out of North Carolina, ball goes off the foot of a Pride player. That'll be a goal kick. I think the Pride were hoping for a call. Not going to get it there. Ball will be placed at the 6. And we'll have our first yellow card of the game. This going against Camille Battle. Battle was warned about 10 minutes ago from our center referee, Isad Omanovic. Very much gesticulating for the entire crowd to see that you've had 3 fouls already. You do it again, you'll be seeing yellow, and that's exactly what he did here. Battle, in the meantime, did get injured on that play, and now up on her feet saying that she's okay to continue to play. And actually, looked like she was getting up to go back on the pitch, but she just walked off on this near side. So that substitution will happen. Also leaving the field is L.B. Hall, number 16. And the final sub in this part of the game for the Pride is Nudstrup taking a break. So Pride bringing on 3 different players. And in the meantime, Riley Winrich taking a break for Green Bay. Coming on for Green Bay, 23, Lucy Kwidzinski. Good to see her back out there. She was one player that went down. We weren't quite sure if we were going to see her any more this half. But now she has returned, and returned she has, takes a shot. That may be the first official shot on goal for Green Bay in this entire game, coming in the 65th minute of play. Number 14 for Pride also came on during that substitution. Unfortunately, she is one of those numbers that I do not have a name attached to. I do believe, however, Bronson up top has come on for Capital Pride. And as Green Bay waits to set up for this free kick, a few more substitutions happened. Everybody from Green Bay, just about anyway, standing at the 18. Capital Pride has everybody back defensively. Ball sent in. Straight into the hands of the goalkeeper. Very brave coming out, knowing she was going to have to make her way through a group of players. Of course, nobody from Green Bay really had the opportunity to challenge for that, so I may be making that moment a little bit more dramatic than I need to. But still good aggressiveness from that goalkeeper for Pride. Now ball is out of bounds, and this will be a throw-in for the women in black. Bronson looks to play this forward. That won't be any trouble for Jones. We're at the point of the game where it feels like the game winner is going to come more from a defensive mistake than anything else. Both teams struggling to find their way in. Green Bay did have one shot on goal this entire game. That was in the 65th minute. We did see early on in the second half Green Bay with an errant pass that went straight to the feet of a Pride player who couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. So it just makes you wonder what kind of mistake might lead to a goal. Will it be a foul in the box perhaps? And we'll see a penalty kick perhaps decide this one. Or with the way things have been playing out, very possibly going to end up in extra time and maybe go all the way to kicks from the spot. But as we enter the 69th minute of play, only time will tell. A lot of this game today being played in the midfield. The foul right in front of Omanovic. Blows his whistle quickly. Can this be an opportunity that Green Bay is looking for? I would imagine that if either of these teams find the back of the net, the energy is going to ratchet up big time through the end of the game. But a goal is something this game is begging for. Will one of these teams be able to find it before that clock ticks over to 90? Ball sent in. Ball is still loose. Keeper hits it with her foot. No shot off the crossbar. And ball still alive in the box. Green Bay in possession. Well, that certainly was some excitement there. Ball looked like it may have been traveling into the goal, then it bounced out for a Green Bay player who smacked it in. Looked like it maybe was going to dip into the back of the net, but instead hits the crossbar, but falls to the feet of a Green Bay player. And instead, score remains 0-0. But now we do see energy picking up just a bit. And just as I say that, Capital Pride, ball flicked on by Bronson, but nobody there from Pride to make a run onto that ball. In fact, the couple of players that were closest to it just kind of stood and watched. And you got to believe that that is just some tired legs, tired lungs. Now Green Bay trying to stage a counterattack. Instead, ball is misplayed, mistouched by Brenna Wilson. Olivia Bronson plays this to her outside. Ball on the far side, bit of a battle. Again, number 4, one of those players that I do not have a name. Actually, I do for that one. That was Bukta, Ashley Bukta on the far side. Trying to make something happen for Capital Pride. Now a slew of substitutions for Green Bay. Coming off the field were Jordan Shaden and Claire Bradford. Callie Drexler on for Green Bay. Did not get the second player that came on for the Glory. But I can assure you both teams have 11 players out there. We'll see if these fresh legs can perhaps produce something for Green Bay. Still 18 minutes left in this one, plus stoppage. I will say, usually in games that have unlimited substitutions, you don't add much time back on, if anything, for the substitutions, since it's considered part of normal play with unlimited subs. So in that respect, the one stoppage we had is one small injury and a yellow card. Of course, there's plenty of time left. Bronson for Pride. She's been battling it out on that far side a lot this second half. Nice movement on the end line. But once again, the Glory defense answers the call. If I'm Pride, I certainly want to try to get that ball up to Arteta on more occasions. She was the one that was on the end line with a nice move, playing that ball in. And now a corner kick for the team out of North Carolina. Haven't seen many of these either in this game. Ball sent in right in front of the goal, bouncing around. Opportunity still alive for Pride, and instead it is sent out of bounds by Mallory Herbert of Green Bay. Another corner kick for Pride. Luck to play the ball short. Now sent in the box. To the top of it, however, where it'll meet the foot of a Green Bay player. Ball sent forward, flag stays down, and now flag does go up. That against McCarthy. From the press box, I can say McCarthy looked to be just maybe half a foot offside. And when I say half a foot, I don't mean measurement-wise as in like 6 inches. It was her literal front half of her foot that seemed to be in the offside position. Wilson with some nice moves, but comes to nothing in the end. This ball near the touchline played back to Jones. And for safety reasons, Jones just sends that one out of bounds. Sales with the throw-in for Pride. Ball still alive at the top of the box. Glory gets a touch. Ball is sent out. But regaining possession is Capital Pride. Sales looking to send this one in. Jones is there to answer the call, grabs it out of the air. Looks like Jones wants to go quickly, and she will. Playing this ball up and out to the far side. Kwidzinski plays this ball into Lagos, who in turn plays it to this near side, back from whence it came. Blau plays it forward. McCarthy back. Once again to the far side. Green Bay looking for various points of attack. Although it got past one player. Glory with the opportunity. That was Michaela Lagos. Apologize if I'm saying that name wrong, but Lagos had plenty of time. My assessment, that was the right decision to go for goal there. Certainly had the frame of mind to set it up and just hit it a bit wide. Pride goalkeeper was there covering that post just in case, but read it well knowing it was going wide and made sure that she didn't get a touch on it as she did so. Gio Karras on the ball. Green Bay trying to find those moments of quick 1-2 play. Some nice give and goes out there. Gio Karras very strong to win that ball back. And Green Bay still alive with the ball. McCarthy making her way across, trying to play that one up. Instead, it'll go out for a goal kick. My apologies, that took a deflection, does go out for a corner kick. Winrich on the corner. Pride has the short corner covered. This ball sent in, top of the six, bobbled by the goalkeeper, still alive. And we'll see what the call is. That'll be a goal kick. Determined to have gone off a Glory player last. Well, Glory fans, as you would expect, outnumbering their counterparts today. Largest crowd we've had in the stadium. Thanks all in part to the fact that Green Bay is the only Wisconsin team in any of these tournaments that are being played. So used to seeing teams like Milwaukee Bavarians, at least on the men's side, making an appearance in this tournament. They've won it a number of times. In fact, they did a three-peat back in the early 2000s. But no Milwaukee Croatians, who have been in a few of these tournaments as well. FC Milwaukee Torrent, both men and women, went far into their Region 2 playoffs. FC Milwaukee Torrent women falling 3-2 to Green Bay Glory in the Region 2 championship game. On the men's side, falling in the Region 2 semifinals to RWB Adria. Fun match that one was, considering a number of the players on both sides play together with the indoor Milwaukee Wave. So a bit of a friendly rivalry. I do believe the scoreline for that one for the men's side was 4-1. RWB Adria will take on Say Word FC That game at 8 p.m., that is on the Pat Jones field. So we'll not have that game on YouTube. Instead, we'll have Sin City out of Las Vegas representing Region 4 taking on Westchester United out of Eastern Pennsylvania representing Region 1. That game to follow this one. Kickoff scheduled for 8 p.m. That'll also be our nightcap for our national championship day tomorrow. Substitutions coming fast and furious now as each team really struggling to keep any type of momentum going, trying to fight this heat and humidity. Not only that, this sun is absolutely brutal. Especially if you're standing on the east side of the stadium facing west. Those of us up in the press box know this intimately. As Sophia, our PA announcer, is shaking her head, yes. I don't know, Sophia, this might be the best tan I get all summer, and I don't tan. Will, our cameraman, both students at Marquette University. So thank them for their efforts today. A lot of players falling down, but no fouls. Play continues. Shout out as well to our man who was going to be our stream producer today, Kevin O'Connor. While he did show up unbelievably and get things set up and run through a few things, that man had knee replacement surgery, listen to this past Monday. But he cared so much about making sure everything was set up properly and making it easy on all of us. Ended up showing up this morning, getting everything set up, and even stayed all the way through the first kick of the first game today at 3 p.m. Kevin is a genius when it comes to producing sports online. Does great work with FC Milwaukee Torrent. Always considered one of the top streams in both the WPSL and the NPSL. So shout out to that man and all he has done for these matches this weekend. Shout out to Michelle O'Connor as well, his wife, coming in to help him out. So a lot of great people involved with making sure we can get these games to you this weekend. There may be just a few of us, but we are mighty. Well, they're mighty. I'm kind of like the mouse, you know, the Mighty Mouse. Sophia just looked at me and said, I don't know what you're referring to, old man. Well, the important stuff is what's happening out on the field. 85th minute of play. The score remains 0-0. We've seen a few moments of brilliance. But in between, a lot of just trying to figure it out from both sides. Ball played forward for Green Bay. So many times I feel like I could have said first or second verse, same as the first throughout this match. Both teams winning the ball, and now maybe there is an opportunity. Flag stays down. On the end line, in the box, ball shot, saved by Jones. Still alive in the box, and now a foul called. Much to the dismay of Capital Pride. But this will be a free kick for Green Bay in their own box. Oh, an opportunity there for Capital Pride. They certainly would love to have that one back. Ball bouncing around like it was a pinball in the box. But Pride not able to convert that into a goal. And with less than 4 minutes before the end of regulation, before stoppage, which again, I do not believe there will be much of, score remains 0-0. Can either team find a game-winning goal? Pride certainly wants to answer that question with a yes, but Green Bay says, not here. And will the Glory have their own chance? Energy really picking up now between every single battle we see on the field. Ball just rolls over the touchline for a Green Bay throw. Well, with games on back-to-back days, semifinals today, final tomorrow, I shouldn't say last thing you want to do, but certainly very low on the list is having to win in extra time. Considering you got a full game to play tomorrow should you win this one. You want to keep those legs as fresh as possible. Now, again, I realize unlimited substitutions. And this will be a corner kick for Pride. So perhaps it's not as big of a deal to go into extra time when you have unlimited subs. But I would still argue every single player who's out there that's got to put extra time in, literally and figuratively, they want to stay as fresh as possible for a championship match. This ball sent in. Ball bounces around. Saved off the line for Green Bay. Keeping it 0-0. As we head into the final minute and 20 seconds. And it does look like this will... Looked as if our center referee had put his hand in his pocket to pull out the yellow. But that was not the case. Instead, he just gave a talking to, I believe it was to Gio Karras that he had that quick conversation. LB Hall standing over the ball for Capital Pride. Again, this is Region 2 being represented by Green Bay Glory, Region 3 being represented by Capital Pride. Wisconsin versus North Carolina, as a few substitutions are made. These teams playing for a spot in tomorrow's National Amateur Cup Championship match. That game will kick off here at the Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium at Uihlein Soccer Park at 5:30 p.m. Ball sent in the box. Whoever wins this match will face the winner of the Pan World Rochester Lasers. Ball goes out of bounds. Goal kick for the Glory. Battle. Plays this in the middle of the field. Took a fortunate bounce, and Pride looked as if they were still going to be in possession of the ball, but Sorensen had other plans. And now ball falls right back into Nudstrup. Sends it in the middle. Kwidzinski plays this ball forward to Gio Karras, who plays it back. Ball sent back up. We are in stoppage time. Not sure how much there is. Ball in the box for Capital Pride. And goes off last touched by number 14 of the women in black. This will be a goal kick. Not much urgency from the Glory. And just as there is no urgency, we are heading into extra time. Well, listen, folks, I've got 7 total games to call this weekend. As the players and referees take a break, I will be taking a break. We'll keep the stream going, but you'll hear some silence from me. Score is 0-0, so nothing between these two as we head into our first half of extra time. Well, sure enough, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of regulation, at the end of 90 minutes, score is 0-0. We head into extra time, 15 minutes on either side of the whistle. Should we remain tied at the end of these 30 minutes, we will head into a penalty kick shootout. In the other match today, Pan World defeating Rochester Lasers 6-1. I believe Pan World, with that scoreline, you can say makes them the favorites. Of course, scorelines don't mean everything, but certainly taking down an opponent in a national semifinal 6-1, I certainly, for one, think that says a lot. But again, Pan World representing Region 4, taking down the Rochester Lasers out of Western New York. Great history of soccer in that region. Not just the Rochester Rhinos, who, of course, were the last non-MLS club to win the Open Cup since the MLS era started in 1996. But Western New York Flash, back in the earlier days of the NWSL, they were one of the power teams, winning a couple of championships. Ball sent in. Green Bay looking for the first goal of the game. Once again, though, a repeated theme. Defense of the Pride, and the Glory for that matter, answering every challenge that has been thrown by them. Now, the men's National Amateur Cup semifinal to be played on this field was supposed to kick off at 8 o'clock. Considering we are almost at 7:30, and we have at least 28 minutes to play plus a brief stoppage, I am very sure that the kickoff will be delayed for that 8 o'clock p.m. game, in which we will see Sin City FC take on Westchester United FC. You can hear Lagos of Green Bay trying to get her team, willing her team to play quicker, really wanted to take advantage. Of the spell of possession. Kwidzinski with a touch. Trying to flick it in with a back heel. Pride goalkeeper there, though, to smother that ball and snuff out the danger. Well, can the Pride capitalize on an opportunity? Once again, no. And as the sun creeps closer and closer down to the horizon, making it more and more difficult to see players across the field. But this is when, as a play-by-play guy, you get really thankful for uniforms contrasting each other completely. McCarthy with the throw-in. Green Bay can afford to be a little bit patient as Capital Pride fall further and further back. I think Pride is making it quite obvious that their game plan the rest of the way is counterattacking football. Which, of course, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. They had the longer travel. Travel itself can lead to tired legs, and then playing 90 minutes of soccer on top of that. So you certainly don't want to waste any necessary energy. Sorensen on the ball for Green Bay. Picks her head up. Gets a touch. Simply plays it. Just a bit of back and forth. Drexler, the other player in that back and forth equation. Offside against the Pride. Jones wanted to take that ball quicker than the substitution finishing up. So ball goes right back to where it was. Player who came off for Capital Pride. Again, one of those players I don't have a number attached to, but she was certainly breathing quite heavy, hands on her knees. Smart move to get her off and let her get some rest. So they haven't been called on much, either goalkeeper Jones for Green Bay, Walker for Capital Pride. But the times they have, you got to give them credit. They have saved the few difficult shots that they have faced, and sometimes that can be the most difficult thing as a goalkeeper, is not having much coming your way, taking you mentally out of the game. A game like this, you really got to challenge yourself. And there's certain ways to do that as a goalkeeper. One is just doing your best to predict where that ball is going to go, even if it's not coming at you, but going forward. Another is taking a look at all your defenders, checking on their shape. Most importantly, keeping your eye on that ball no matter where it is on the field. But both goalkeepers have done well keeping themselves mentally in the game as well as physically when called upon to do so. Kelly Drexler being talked to by our center referee. I did hear him say as he was running past her when the ball was on the glory half of just, hey, just play the game. So not sure if there was some trash talking going on or what it may be, but that was quickly dealt with. Credit to the referee and the player. Nine minutes into this first extra time period. 6 minutes to go. Not much happening. Green Bay had one chance. Pride had one chance, and that's all we've seen. Once again, just like so much of the second half, a lot of this game just at midfield. Green Bay more on the offensive pedal, where on the other hand, Pride is happy to keep most players in their own half, including their forwards, and looking to spring a counterattack opportunity. Ball played forward. Sent long by Alberts. In the box is McCarthy trying to get around number 11. And McCarthy does take a touch after Walker got possession of the ball. Both teams making a few substitutions with this stoppage. Nice attempt to turn that ball by Bronson. However, goes out of bounds. Quickly taken throw-in by Green Bay. Battles just constantly happening at midfield. Winrich with that win. Drexler. Green Bay now trying to take advantage. Some quick feet by Herbert. Last touch just a little too much where she loses possession. But Green Bay so quick in this extra time period to regain possession. And again, although they could afford to be a little bit more patient, as we are seeing here, I'd like to see at times perhaps Green Bay try to press the issue a bit more with getting forward. And for the Pride, maybe at some point you're going to have to take a risk, unless, of course, you're okay with going to the penalty kick shootout. Both goalkeepers have been very strong, so based off of this one game, I'm not sure who would be favored in a penalty kick shootout. This ball is sent over the touchline. Did take a deflection, which explains why Walker was sprinting to that ball trying to save it. But instead, it does go out for a corner kick. 103rd minute, 2.5 minutes left in this first set of extra time. I do believe that is Herbert standing over the ball in the far corner. Ball sent in. Walker jumping up once again in a crowd of players, nabbing that ball out of the air. As everybody in the stadium keeps turning to look at the clock. Obviously, referee does have official time. You know, coming out of girls' high school soccer season, at least here in Wisconsin, some people forget that the scoreboard is not the official clock like it is in high school, and that the referee is the one with the official time around his wrist. .70 seconds left in this first period of extra time. Nothing between these two as the score remains 0-0. With this way this game started in the first couple of minutes, Capital Pride looked like they would at least be good for one goal, maybe two, in the full 90. Then Green Bay started to show some flashes, although their first official shot not coming until the 65th minute. But things started to pick up a little bit for Green Bay as they have a few more opportunities in the second half. whereas Capital Pride started to fall further and further back defensively, as I'm assuming they got more and more tired. But now the final 10 seconds at least, according to the stadium scoreboard, as we will go into, I should say, what little stoppage time there may be. Green Bay would love nothing more than to finish this half with a goal, I should say period, of extra time, but that will be the last try that they get. That takes us to a quick break between the extra time periods. I will take advantage of that break myself, get some water. But don't go anywhere, folks. We have at least 15 minutes to play, and if we are still drawing after that, we will head into this weekend's first penalty kick shootout. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the second period of extra time. Green Bay Glory taking on Capital Pride, and there is your kick. Another 15 minutes to play here at Uihlein Soccer Park in the Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium. We'll see what the energy looks like as this game remains scoreless after 105 minutes. Ball sent long. That'll be no problem for Walker. Coming out of that refreshment break, when you don't compromise on the pitch, you shouldn't compromise off it either. Grab a Michelob Ultra, the superior light beer, as you cheer on your favorite team. Michelob Ultra, official beer sponsor of U.S. Soccer and the Amateur Cup. Ball played forward. Giocaris remaining onside, however, being forced backward. Eventually losing the ball to a throw-in for Pride. That was Anna Boda, who was challenging Giocaris. McCarthy on the ball, pulls it back. Takes a fortunate bounce, looks to play this long opportunity for Green Bay. Walker coming out strong and just stripping that ball off the foot of Mallory Herbert. Walker doing all she can to keep this team in this game. Again, remaining goalless in the other semifinal today. Pan World taking down Rochester Lasers 6-1. That may go without saying, ending in regulation. So not only the winner of this game is going to face a very strong team in Pan World, but Pan World will have 30 minutes less of soccer on their legs. As this ball rolls out of bounds, throw in for Green Bay. And as that sun continues to go down and also being covered by clouds, expect the stadium lights to turn on any minute here. Thank you for joining us on YouTube as we call these games live and on location at Uihlein Soccer Park in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My name is Simon Provan. On behalf of everybody at USASA, we thank you for joining us. What an exciting 2 days of amateur football here in the States. Tournament of Regions, National Amateur Cup, representing adult amateur soccer. Everything from the Amateur Cup teams to over 30s to over 40s. Match before this one was Atletico Torino out of Chicago, winning that game 2-1 over Christos FC out of Baltimore. Things get kicked off tomorrow at 12:30 for the men's over 30 Tournament of Region Championship match. Cheshire SC out of Region 1 taking on 1990 Queens FC out of Region 3. First kick at 12:30. And all of tomorrow's championship matches will be played at Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium. The pitch you are watching on your screen right now as Pride into the box, plays it in the middle, and ball just goes wide of the goal. I believe that was almost an own goal, if my eyes saw that correctly. Pride almost taking a 1-0 lead with less than 10 minutes to go in the second extra time period. And as the Glory take a deep breath off the goal kick, they immediately try to push forward. That ball is sent forward. Can McCarthy get on the end of it to keep it in bounds? Instead, she is going to lose that foot race to the Pride defender. L.B. Hall. Well, Capital Pride showing a ton more energy here in this second half of extra time, as we do have a player down on the field, but Pride currently on the attack. Referee takes a look, sees that the Glory player is trying to stretch things out, still can't get up. And we'll see if the whistle maybe gets blown here. Well, whistle does get blown for a foul. And now we'll get a check on the injured player, number 14 for Green Bay. That's Kenzie Blau. And after being down for about 30 seconds, Blau is now leaving the field. Not a bad substitution considering that there are less than 8 minutes left. And because Blau popped up, didn't have to stay on the ground, might not be much stoppage added at the end of this extra time period. But Capital Pride starting to turn the tides here a bit, at least in the last couple of minutes. Opportunity for Pride. And number 14, again, I do not have a name attached to that, but she was there. Disappointed that she couldn't time that one a little bit better. But Capital Pride really much more on the attack in this second period of extra time than we saw in the first period. Patterson on the ball for the North Carolina club. Now Rendy, who plays this back. Boda. Back to Walker. Walker to Nudstrup. And now Nudstrup plays it forward. Not sure if the player was on. Flag stays down. Ball played across the box, and a great save by Jones. Amazing play by the Glory goalkeeper after a stunning run from the Pride. Boy, that's about as close as it can get. I thought for sure, and I think everybody in the stadium thought for sure, that Capital Pride was about to score the first and possibly only goal of the match. Instead, Jones does well to take a very hard shot right at her and pair it out a goal. And now Green Bay on the other side in their own attacking third. Ball played in the box. McCarthy at the top, tries to play it in, but as we've seen all game, Pride answering every single call. McCarthy still on the ball. Now she stays on the ground, stretched out her leg. You hope that she's okay, and that's more of just being tired. But Green Bay trying to pop this one in the middle of the box. Not able to get there as it's read well by the Pride defense. Well, this is the excitement that people were expecting much earlier in this game, but both teams really feeling it now. Pride a few inches away from going up 1-0. Green Bay, on the other hand, trying to transition quickly offensively. They had a couple of balls in the box, but it seems like anytime that ball gets near that 6-yard box, we see a bunch of players in black positioning themselves well and winning it in the end. Foul called in favor of Capital Pride. Capital Pride, the Platinum Division winners in the Carolina Cup. Green Bay Glory, winners of the Region 2 tournament. And stadium lights officially turn on, making it a little bit easier on the eyes of the players. Less than 3.5 minutes to play. .200 seconds away from a penalty kick shootout, unless one of these teams can find a game winner. McCarthy trying to use her speed, getting tired, but nicely played ball in the box. Goes Claire Bradford, almost in the box, but she is stuffed legally and cleanly by the Pride defense. But Glory going for it once again. That shot from Mallory Herbert would love to have a little bit more strength behind that one. Less than 2 minutes left in this second period of extra time. Tensions now starting to mount. Excitement starting to build. Fortunate bounce for Green Bay. Doesn't amount to much, however, as Capital Pride earns a foul. 90 seconds now before we head into kicks from the spot. As always, that will be best of 5. But will one of these teams find some last-second heroics? Ball sent into the box. Only 2 players there, one wearing black, one wearing white, and it's the player in purple that slides and picks the ball off the ground. 40 seconds remain in extra time. Gio Karras trying to flick this one on. Instead, it goes to the side. Looks like it'll go out of bounds. And, in fact, it does. Not much hurry from Capital Pride. They may be satisfied to just get to a PK shootout at this point, whereas Glory going for the win. This ball going a little too far. Walker there to grab it in her own box. She does quickly play it out. We'll see what kind of stoppage time, if any, we have at the end of a 120 minutes. And in fact, we are at that 120 mark. Pride on the attack. Omanovic, our center referee, allowing play to continue, maybe a minute or 2 of stoppage time. And Jones, instead of picking this one up, sends it far, and that will take us into a penalty kick shootout to decide who will go on to tomorrow's championship match for the National Amateur Cup. And while the players and coaches meet along with the referees, we'll take another break here, but we will be back for the minimum of 5 rounds penalty kick shootout. Don't go away, folks. We'll be with you soon.
same spot, or did they switch sides?
Well, here we are in this penalty kick shootout, round one. Score finished 0-0. Bukta misses the first shot as it hits the post and bounces out. Obviously, Bukta thinking that she had that one. It was a nice, strong shot, just a little too much to the right. Bouncing off the post. Score remains 0-0 in the penalty kick shootout. Again, round one. Pride missing their first shot. Stepping up to the spot for Green Bay's first kick, Michaela Lagois. Takes the shot, easily saved by Walker. Ball placed just to the left side of Walker. Walker not only guessing correctly, but going down quick. Not the strongest of shots you would like to see from your first round kicker. But we go to the top of the second round. And we have yet to see anything in the way of a goal. Through 90 minutes, through 2 periods of extra time, and now through the first round of this penalty kick shootout. And there you have it, the first time a ball touches the back of the net. Your goal scorer for Pride was number 28, Hannah Riddle. And stepping up is the speedy winger for Green Bay, Emily McCarthy. Walker in goal. Straight down the middle, Walker trying to catch that ball with her left hand as she jumped to the right. But well taken by McCarthy. Bringing the score even in the penalty kick shootout. Second kicker for Capital Pride, number 29, Olivia Bronson. Bronson's strong kick puts that past Jones. Advantage Capital Pride. With the slow walk up to the ball. Next shooter for Green Bay is number 5, Mallory Herbert. Herbert steps up, pops it over the goal. Now in a definitive lead is Capital Pride. Ryan McCord, number 23 for Pride, stepping up. Goes off the hands of Jones, who guessed the right way, But McCord with a nicely struck ball. Now giving Pride a 3-1 lead here in the fourth round. Green Bay has to score to keep this penalty kick shootout alive. If they don't, I know I had said minimum of 5. I meant to say best of 5. So should Green Bay convert this kick, they remain alive. Should they miss or Walker make a save, Capital Pride will be moving on to the Women's National Amateur Cup Championship match tomorrow. Whoever wins, Pan World is waiting for their opponent. Kwidzinski, and that will do it as Capital Pride end up winning this semifinal. A 3-1 penalty kick victory for Capital Pride. So as their season continues on in the Amateur Cup contests, Green Bay Glory, they are officially done for the year. WPSL season is over. An upset of FC Milwaukee Torrent in the Region 2 Championships. And now their season comes to an end here at Uihlein Soccer Park in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Well, folks, make sure you tune in for tomorrow's match. That'll be at 5:30 p.m. as Pan World and Capital Pride, Pan World out of Region 4, Capital Pride out of Region 3, will play for the Women's National Amateur Cup Championship at 5:30 p.m. This game was scoreless all the way through the first round of this penalty kick shootout. But your victors tonight, Capital Pride winning this shootout 3-1. Hey folks, my name is Simon Provan on behalf of everyone at USASA. Thank you so much for joining us for this game. Up next, the Men's National Amateur Cup semifinals. We will have for you Sin City FC taking on Westchester United in this match here at the Southeast Sales Power Sports Stadium. Behind us on the Pat Jones Field is Sayward FC and RWB Adria. RWB Adria, no stranger to playing in these National Amateur Cup finals. And we'll see if they make it all the way to the final for tomorrow or if instead Sayward has the final say there. But again, for us, we'll be watching Sin City FC taking on Westchester United. However, we are going to end this stream. You need to make sure that you click over on the correct stream for that men's amateur national semifinal. We'll see you over there in a few minutes. I've got rosters to collect. And I don't know, maybe have some water. Once again, on behalf of everybody involved with this great tournament, or tournaments really, we thank you for being with us. My name is Simon Provan. Hopefully we see you on the stream for the men's game. If not, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.